All right, so what we got here? We got some ACT. This is what, 6.6 part 1. Looking at 40, if you read the text, we have a ladder leaning against the house. They want to know the distance in feet from the base of the ladder to the building. So obviously, the first thing you've got to do is realize what they're asking for. And they want to know this little piece right here. Uh, you kids have got to learn to spell ha, toa. I I hadn't given a form quiz in a minute, and I don't know that I ever will again because they're so depressing. But you can't spell SOHCAHTOA. Like, what is wrong with some of y'all? Anyways, that's what it's all about. I actually want to know what x is. What x is going to be the adjacent side, and 16 is obviously the hypotenuse. It's leaning. Doesn't necessarily make it the hypotenuse, but it usually makes it the hypotenuse. So identify those two pieces. I don't care what the third side is, it's not even given. Give me just a minute here. I was about to lose my tablet. And I'm going to set up the ratio. And again, you have to show work. You have to show work. So anyways, setting up the ratio here, I notice that I have the A and the H. So I look at this guy. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Cosine of 50 degrees is going to be equal to x over 16. And they want to actually know which one gives the distance. So I'm going to 16 both sides. Cancellation on the right. And this is going to be my answer, 16 cosines of 50 degrees, if they didn't try to trick me. Sometimes they do. Is my x value. So there she is, 16 cosines of 50. And the ACT was designed to be taken without a calculator, therefore, you're not supposed to push buttons. Can, you're just not supposed to. All right. That's not what I want. That's what I want. I wonder why my clear screen thing disappeared. There's the button I'm looking for. Now, when I look at 41, 41 is actually pulled. This was pulled from state standards. It is still an ACT standard. It's like, well, I'm not sure what commandment of mine it is, but whatever. You cannot divide by 0. And that's actually when vertical asymptotes happen. VAs happen when an attempt to divide by 0 happens. So the idea is if you have 1 over something, the something cannot be 0. I think we've kind of done that, maybe to some degree. Probably wasn't supposed to. So I noticed that this thing has x plus a in the bottom. So I know that x plus a cannot be 0. By the way, you still have to show work. I'm going to just shift that thing over, and x cannot be negative a. By the way, vertical, like there's a dead hint. Vertical is always written x equals. I mean, if you pick A or B, you have not learned a thing. Vertical is x equals. Just by knowing vertical is x equals, you made it 1 and 3 versus 1 and 5, which is much better odds if you're trying to get into a 4-year school. 42 says, if g of x is negative 1/2 of f of x for all values of x, which of the following is a true statement describing the graph of g in comparison of f? Now, so I want you to notice that g is negative 1/2 of f. So here's your translations. So are the transformations from f of x, which is shown, into g of x. It says g of x is negative 1/2 f of x. The negative symbol is a vertical reflection. So since f of x opens down, g of x must open up. All right. So since I know that g of x must open up, I can go over here and I can cross some stuff out. Now, we've talked about this being the a value here. So a is 1/2. Most of the stuff we do in Algebra 2 is usually a stretch. But since the absolute value of a is less than 1, this is a vertical, not stretch, compression. So, if you push down on something, maybe Play-Doh, it gets wider. So, there we go. Had to know that. It gets wider. Choice C. It's wider, opens up. And again, you had to have a little bit of work here. So, by all means, write some of this stuff down. You need to know this stuff. Which of the following angles has a terminal side of 1105 degrees? This is actually a 10th grade math standard. 10th grade standard. Probably not taught because I don't think you guys ever worked with angles bigger than 360. Maybe you did, I don't know. But the idea is pretty simple. Angles are actually supposed to be drawn on the XY axis. They really are. And if you go a full circle on the XY axis, you've covered 360 degrees. Well, that's the idea. 360 degrees is full circle. And if you go full circle, you are at the same spot. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our 1105, we're going to subtract 360 a couple of times, at least 3, because it works. You can take away 360 3 times. You get 1080, and we would get 35 degrees. Well, something wrong with me. It's 1105, 900, 1080. Oh, you get 25 degrees. Choice B. If you didn't know any of this, maybe you should write it down. Like, if you didn't know, write it. That's how you learn it. Write it a couple times. Get that other part of your brain involved. 44, in the two-dimensional figure below, A to B is parallel to E to D, and the measure of DCB is 44 degrees, and the measure of angle ABC is 70. What is the measure of angle EDC? Well, it ain't 70. It's probably one of these two, just looking at it. Here's how you do it. What you do is you extend this side down. Now, I know because they told me that these two things were parallel. Remember that symbolism? And I was also taught a little theorem about corresponding angles. If this one's 70, this one's 70. I also know every Euclidean triangle. That's what this is. has 180 degrees. So I'm going to find this little guy right here, all right? I'm going to do 180 minus 70 minus 44. That'd be 110, 66 degrees. So that angle right in there goes 66 degrees. Now I'm just going to kind of redraw what I have here. So it's bigger. 66. I know that a straight angle equals 180 degrees. And this angle has to be 180 minus 66, which is what, 114 degrees? Well, I was wrong. It was choice B. There you go. That's why I did the math. Wasn't even hard math. Last two on the ACT. In the complex number system, what does I to the 45th power equal? You know, you're supposed to memorize some things. You are supposed to remember I to the 4th equals 1. So, by and large, those of you who have memorized that will understand what I'm about to write. I to the 45th is I to the 4th 11 times I. Every I to the 4th is a 1. And 1 to the 11th power is 1. I'm left with I. Not hard. A bag contains X blue chips and Y red chips. If the probability of selecting a red chip at random is 3 in 7, then X over Y is what? Notice they talk about red chip 3 in 7. Probability is the number of times something happens divided by divided by the number of possibilities. What they basically told you is they told you red compared to the entire content of chips is 3 over 7. They told you there are 3 red chips out of 7. So if there's 3 red chips out of 7, there must be 4 blue chips. Now they're calling X blue, so X is 4, and they're calling Y red. Y is 3. They want X over Y, 4 over 3. It's a simple little problem, so simple. So simple, SpongeBob could do it. Anyways, there's the ACT stuff, and that's all the time I've got for classes start this morning. And I'll work on the rest of it some other point in time today.